Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we are jumping into a menage a trois? We're having a threesome on the Best Darn Diddly Review Show, but there's only actually two of us today. That was misleading. We don't have a guest. I don't know, man. Whatever. We're talking about the two Mrs. Nahasapeemapetilons. I won't be going at it alone today. No. Joining me, as always, my arranged podcast host, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid.
This is one of those times where you get to nerd out in front of all of your friends because for some reason people always think it's really strange if you know how to pronounce Apu's last name, which for Simpson fans, it's just a normal thing. But for some reason, if they're not a big Simpsons person, this seems to be like a really very specific trivia thing for people. So I don't ever get it, but we got a lot to talk about today. I'm going to quit rambling. I don't know how to talk. Let me throw it back to you. The man, the myth, the sticky buns. It is Miles.
You know, dude, I'll be honest. I watch a fair amount of The Simpsons, I would say. Talk about it fairly commonly from time to time. Unless I have it written out in front of me, I still struggle to say Nahasapeemapetilon.
Fair enough. I bet after this week, you're going to have less of a struggle saying it from here on forward.
Very, very, very possible. Though, we do need to address the Nahasapeemapetilon.
In the room?
In the room, yeah. The Ganesh in the room, if you will.
No.
So it's just this week, or you know what, backing up from there, you might have guessed by the title of today's episode, we're going to be talking about Apu a lot. And we've already talked about Apu on several other episodes of this podcast. We both have stated our feelings on documentaries that have come out in the past. We've talked about our feelings about, the voice actor Hank Azaria, who has voiced this character for 30 years, 31 years, a while. Though, at the time of this recording, since we last spoke about the character Apu, Hank Azaria has announced that he will no longer be voicing the character of Apu because of all the controversy and backlash that he's faced with the allegations that have come out from certain, I don't even want to say comedians. I can't stand that dude. I don't think he's funny, but that's just me being a dick. But yeah, so today we are just going to once again say that when we talk about The Simpsons and when we try to voice these characters and bring these scripts to life via this podcast, we attempt, not always in a very accurate way, but we always try to get the voices of the characters as close as we can, try to bring the script to life a little bit more. And we're going to continue to do that with Apu. We both love Apu, and we're going to both try to do justice without mocking Indian culture or an Indian dialect, but we are both two white guys that are going to attempt to do an Apu voice, not even an Indian accent, I'm going to say. I'm imitating Apu the character, as is Richie, and I sure hope that doesn't offend anybody, because that is definitely not our intent in any way. Our intent here has always been and will always be to celebrate this show that we loved with everybody in the world that also loves this show. So regardless of where you land on this planet, we are all human beings that love these characters, and that is why we are going to continue moving forward. Even though Hank Azaria won't be doing the voice anymore, we still are for the time being. So that's our, or at least that's my stance. I think I speak for both of us.
I thought that was pretty well put. I feel like we are the dads that are telling you the bedtime story that has to do the voices for all the characters to really sell the story. That's how I feel about it. And I also kind of feel like if we try to do all the other character voices, but then we exclude one character voice,
that's weird,
that almost
right?
makes it worse.
Yeah.
So, again, like you said, I'm sorry if it is offensive to you. That is not our intent. We're literally just trying to, for a few seconds, play this role of this one particular character this line probably means a whole lot to us from our childhood. So that doesn't make it better, I know, in like real world situations for certain people in other areas of things that are actually offensive, but it's a freaking Simpsons character voice. So I'm sorry if that offends you. I guess we're not maybe the podcast for you.
Yeah, tell your friends that are less offended.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much been our stance from the get-go. And again, we always encourage an open dialogue. We put ourselves out there on the internet, on Twitter, on Instagram. Hell, they're both on Facebook now after all these years. I finally fucking broke down because comedy demanded it. But you can talk to us about it, and I'd be happy to have a conversation. We've had conversations with people in the past, and hopefully that conversation will just turn into us making Simpsons jokes together, because that's really, at the end of the day, what this is all about. That's enough of that, I think. We'll move on from there and talk about this episode today, man. First of all, this is our 179th podcast. That number just kind of blows me away because it does not feel like it was that long ago that we just did our 100th podcast, and apparently we need to start thinking about what to do for 200 moving on here pretty soon.
Don't be putting any kind of stigma on us for 200 before we're like going to blow our load too soon or not be a grand enough, I almost said expedition experience when 200 comes around. Don't set us up for failure.
We're both going to get hit by a bus the week we record podcast number 199.
That would probably be more exciting.
I'm calling it now. We are talking about the two Nahasapeemapetilons today, originally aired on November 16th, 1997. This one does not have a chalk gag, but it does have a very fun couch gag where we see El Barto himself graffiti the Simpsons family on the couch in their living room. Ooh. And we open up to Kent Brockman, but not on the TV, which is kind of exciting. And actually, right off the bat, we get a sign gag where we see a guy at the Springfield the Springfield Civic Center changing the sign. Says, "Tonight, charity bachelor auction. Tomorrow, I retire, you bastards." And then...
It's a grand way to put in your resignation.
Well, then the worst part, though, is he's up on a ladder, like on a scaffolding, changing these signs, and right after he finishes, I retire, you bastards, he falls off the ladder. Presumably dying.
Presumably.
So we open up with Kent Brockman hosting. "Hello, I'm Kent Brockman. Our top story... punks and lots of them, and all to raise money for the fire service so they can have a fire engine to get to fires."
Lazy bums.
Yeah, why don't we get some mink stoles? We're at it. What is that?
I don't know what that
is. That what that says? Is that the line? I don't recall that line.
It sounds vaguely familiar from the episode I watched, a few hours ago.
Kent goes on to announce our celebrity auctioneer, Krusty.
What?
The clown.
Oh!
Yay!
Thank you. Hey! I can't read that. No, not that either. Okay, let's bring out our first bachelor. This sexy fellow describes himself as a big, thirsty teddy bear. Say hello to Barney Gumble!
He starts auctioning.
Zero. I got 0.
And Barney just walks right on over to the reject section, which I think it's funny that they preemptively had a reject section.
I think it's funny that apparently Krusty can actually read a little bit.
Well, I think it just depends on how you interpret that, because he said, no, I'm not reading that. I can't read that either. Maybe it's not that it was so offensive he wouldn't say it. Maybe it's just he literally was saying, no, I can't read that. I don't know what that is.
But they had like the teleprompter that said, hey, at first. Like maybe he's just so familiar with that one word that he's okay with it.
So next up we see Captain McAllister come up to be auctioned at or upon.
Come on! He likes sunsets. What more do you want?
Yar, I'm not attractive.
Oh, poor sea captain. Our last bachelor likes women who take their clothes off for money. Let's hear it for Mo.
And then Mo, he doesn't even bother stopping. He just walks straight across the stage and directly into the reject section, which at this point, we've done a little bit of a time lapse because we can now see that in the reject section, there's Barney, Moe, Otto, Hans Moleman, Kirk Van Houten, Comic Book Guy, Professor Frink, Disco Stew, Captain McAllister, and now Moe.
Let's be honest, that's a big fat lie. We know somebody would have taken up Hans Moleman.
Hans Moleman would have definitely been brought upon. I like to think Disco Stew would have some ladies.
Yeah, I kind of think that too. Maybe with the grunge crowd, Otto might have even gotten lucky.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, yeah. He's young and employed,
and probably has a lot of weed.
Yeah, there's somebody in town for him. Lisa starts to notice like maybe there aren't actually any good bachelors in town at all. And you see a group shot of what's described as hunky male firefighters who are obviously bachelors, and they're like, "Oh, we're never gonna make enough for the fire truck."
I noticed at the beginning of the scene where it kept showing shots of like the Simpsons in the crowd, I saw the Malibu Stacy lady behind Homer in the audience, Stacy Lavelle, which I thought it was really weird that they randomly inserted her into this opening scene in this episode because I haven't seen her in a while, so it's just kind of a random townsperson back there.
I mean, I guess she's a wealthy person that might be, willing to auction on things to help the town, but yeah, probably should have gone with the firefighters and not these, eclectic group of men. But
yeah, you win some, you lose most.
Marge points out, Apu, you're a bachelor. Get up there.
They won't like me. I'm nothing special.
Don't be shy. Excuse me. There's another bachelor.
Just tell them about yourself.
Yeah, so they're like encouraging him to go up there, and immediately Apu is like rising up above the cream rises to the top, we'll say.
Well, I have a doctorate in computer science. I run my own business, of course. I do like to cook. I'm not such a good talker, but I love to listen. In my spare time, I like to build furniture and then to have a discussion about where to put it in a room. Gosh.
And then immediately, just all the women in town start bidding. And I mean, it's already rising higher than collectively the rest of the bachelors combined. I love that Luann Van Houten is like, $75! And we hear Kirk respond,
"You better have enough left to pay my alimony, Luann."
And finally, they decide that they're going to pool their money, and Krusty announces, "Sold to the 5 desperate chicks."
Wait, it was like $926?
They pooled all their money together, so yeah, they came up with quite a bit, but still, that's almost $200 each.
Yeah.
And we immediately cut to Miss Hoover and Apu's date.
Miss Hoover got dressed up.
They all do. They actually have like they're pretty snazzy, we'll say.
Yeah.
Miss Hoover's like, "I had a great time, Apu, and thanks for winning Wubsy. I had no idea that you were such a great shot."
Oh yes, all Quickie Mart managers must be skilled in the deadly arts.
And then Apu's like, "Wow, this date's not going to be easy to top," but he's like, "I guess I'll go on to the next one." And we see him, he just pulls over like two houses down, and Luann comes running out.
"Anybody up for some clog dancing?"
"Oh, why don't you try and stop me?"
He just happened to have clogs in his car.
Yeah, he holds up, he has clog dancing shoes. Again, though, this would make Apu, even more reasons Apu would be such the eligible bachelor.
I mean, the rejects really made it easy for him to just walk up there and be oversold.
And we kind of do another cut here to where we see Apu is now at the Quickie Mart, hanging out with Homer, and Apu has a stack of love letters, it would seem. He's reading, "This is just a note to say I think about you every day, and when I get you all alone..." Ooh, it gets kind of personal here.
I see. Yoink. Wow.
He opens up one, and it's actually from his mother.
Let's see what she wrote.
Homer gets super creepy here. Like, he's like way into Apu. Apparently, he's been on like one of the top rated categories on Pornhub. What the fuck? Pornhub recently.
It almost sounded like you didn't want to admit that porn exists.
Yeah, it's a secret.
That's so like you, Miles.
No, I'm only mildly alarmed that is a thing, but not porn. I mean, like the incest porn, but whatever. It happens to the best of us.
This just got weird.
Meh, let's linger in it.
Let it simmer a while.
Apu opens up the letter from his mother, and instead of a letter, it's actually a lotus flower that falls out, and immediately you can see that Apu is not, like, excited about this at all. He actually screams, and Homer's like, oh, you don't like lotus flowers too? Don't get me started on lotus flowers.
Sometimes you're just so shocked by what Homer actually knows.
Yeah, that's true. Apu has to explain to Homer, basically that he's in he's set to have an arranged marriage, and he actually has to explain to Homer what that is, and of course the easiest way to do so is a flashback, where we see Apu's mother is discussing something, seems to be in India. They're discussing the details of the arrangement. So that's 10 boats and an electric fan. You call that a dowry?
Okay, we will throw in a textile factory as well, but only because Manjula is getting on in years.
Okay, it is agreed. Your third daughter will marry our first son.
It is done.
And that brings us to Apu, who is, like, really embracing bachelorhood for the first time. Like, Marge just kind of encouraged him out of his shell at this auction. And now he's, like, suddenly being cut off because he's set to be arranged. But Homer has an idea. Just tell the truth. You're not ready to get married.
I love how, like, the easiest solution is immediately thrown out there, but they just completely gloss over it. No, you don't know Mother. She will never quit until I am married.
Oh, well then just tell her you're already married.
Oh, no, I cannot lie to my mother.
Then get married. What do you want from me? To Homer's credit, I mean, he kind of has put down, like, the 3 options available, like, either get married, lie to your mother about it, or stand up to your mother about it.
Yep.
So it's one of those situations where it's funny, but Homer's also right.
He's right 3 times, Miles. That
3 times
never
in a
happened.
row. Yeah, maybe the only 3 times in the history of the show, and they're all in this episode.
And the least right of the options is what we're going to go with here, it looks like.
Lying is always the right choice, of course, and that's what Apu chooses. Later, we see that he's on the phone with his mom, explaining that, like, yeah, he's already married. Yes, that is right, Mother. I already got married. Why did I not bother to tell you? The reason is,
Scribble.
Well, I guess I didn't think you'd understand. I, love you. Kiss, kiss. Bye-bye. Click. It worked. The lie. I set me free.
Homer, he was looking at Homer to help him out when he was like, the reason is, and Homer told him 1 second and starts writing on a piece of paper. So you think Homer's going to, like, have something written down that's going to help Apu up, but when he holds up the sign he wrote, it says, "Where are the sticky buns?"
Yeah.
Completely not helping.
He's way more in his own. To be fair, he's, a one-track minded dude. When he's on sticky buns, it's sticky bun time.
I guess so.
Yeah, what can you do? I really like this next sequence a lot. It's probably one of the most, I don't know, that might be overstating it. I think I could say that. It's probably one of the most iconic Apu scenes. Like, I feel like a lot of times when you see highlight reels of Apu, this song kind of pops up, and it's actually him singing Hot Blooded, which is really fun, and he's working on his, like, I think it's a Firebird, maybe? Does that sound right?
Yeah. Or a Pontiac. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's Firebird.
It's a Pontiac Firebird. Yeah.
Yep. I'm hot-blooded, check it and see. I got the fever of 103. Come on, baby, do you want more to dance? I'm hot-blooded.
Yeah, and that song, I just had to Google it because I couldn't remember, but that song is by Foreigner, very awesome, like, 80s rock song, and it's just really fun to see Apu, like, really, like, loving life, man. You so often see Apu working at the Quickie Mart and just, like, kind of hating life a lot, or at least not loving life to the full extent, you would say. So seeing Apu thrive in this episode is pretty cool.
Yep, and he's not having to thrive off price gouging.
Exactly. We also see Apu's embracing this newfound bachelorhood, and he decides to give himself a little makeover. He goes and gets a new hairstyle. It's pretty funny right off the top because we see several
because of hair
off
right
the
off the top.
Nice. We see that he goes through a few different styles of haircuts for a bit, and I had a list of them up here, but we see he goes from the George Clooney, the Jerry curl, a flat top. He has his name shaved into the side of his head. He has the Coolio, which is like the braids dripping down, and then he also has the famous Jennifer Aniston from Friends. From this time in 1997. That was a very, very popular look.
What?
Apparently, there was originally 3 more haircuts in this montage that were cut for time, but the trivia doesn't state what they were. It just says that they were, which is annoying.
But it did bring up the very obvious, if you weren't paying attention in the episode 2 seconds before, shot of the hair salon itself, which I very much enjoyed the name. The salon was called the Harry Shearers.
Oh, I get it. It's like the guy that does voices on the show.
Wait, what?
But also a haircut. Nice.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah,
joke.
That's a really good sign, for sure. So, Apu's burning the candle at both ends. He's partying hard all night long, and then he's working hard at the counter of the Quickie Mart all day long. So we actually see Apu is sleeping on the counter, and Homer is taking this opportunity to shine a light through the lotto tickets, and he can see that just a few tickets down is a $500 winner.
Loser, loser, loser. $500? Apu, wake up! I want to buy a yodel and this lottery ticket. I have this much.
Huh? I am sorry, but you do not have enough for both.
Oh, I'll take the yodel.
Oh my gosh. Instant gratification is another thing that just causes so many problems for Homer, but like at
this
the same
doesn't cause a
time,
problem though. He's so happy later. Like
that's literally what I say. At the same time, it's kind of this beautiful thing where like he is into like immediate gratification, but like he legitimately is content with this, even though clearly he could have probably bought a few more yodels if he had $500.
But he wouldn't have had him then. He would have had to wait.
Homer notices that Apu's tired, and Apu explains that he's not the type to kiss and tell, but then immediately is like, but listen to this, and whispers his ongoings to Homer. But as Homer is saying, like, oh, you dog, we actually see Apu's mother walks in the door.
Oh, it is my mother. What am I going to do?
What's the problem?
Don't you see? She is here to meet my wife.
Hmm?
The wife I told her I had.
Hmm?
I do not have a wife.
Oh, then you shouldn't have lied to your mother.
Oh, she'll be here any second.
Apu's mom actually falls in the parking lot.
Yes, that will buy me some time.
Oh my gosh. You know, those precious, precious seconds before you, as an adult, have to explain to your adult mother that, to be fair, I'm glossing over that pretty lightly. I know the arranged marriage concept is, it's the traditional way of doing things, and I can imagine that would be really, really awkward to, like, have to break the tradition of your family's heritage.
I mean, I thought there were families that straight up, like, stop talking to their children when they don't want to go through this.
Shunned or disowned. I imagine that's probably the case. I don't know any specific examples or cases, but I'd have to guess that it's happened at least once.
I've seen movies and TV shows where it happens at least.
And we know movies and TV would never lie to us.
Never.
They're our faithful friend to the end.
And always 100% truthful.
Well, Homer has an idea here, though, because he actually says, it seems to me that, well, you could move into my house and tell your mom that Marge is your wife.
Is it me, or does your plans always have some horrible web of lies?
It's you.
To be fair, he needed a way out, and Homer thought of this, like, almost too fast.
Homer is almost like an idiot savant when it comes to lying. Like as long as it's lying to get out of something, he's got like fairly clever ideas with really poor follow through.
It's his terrible version of street smarts, I guess.
So, yeah, that's exactly what he goes with. Apu tries to pretend that, like, everything's cool and he hasn't noticed, and when his mom walks in, welcome to the Quickie Mart. Oh, Mother, what are you doing here?
I have come to meet this wife of yours.
And meet her you shall.
Homer, wink, wink.
It is a very reasonable request that can easily be granted in a timely and efficient...
Let's go.
And we shall, because it is the timing that Apu's mom actually like grabs him by the ear while he's trying to delay things by continuing to talk.
But I love the next screen, like when it cuts away. Oh.
So Homer is just reminiscing over this yodel, and it's so good. Instead of like helping Apu get this plan that he just conceived that involves his entire family, he's just like, oh, that yodel was so good. I wish I was eating it right now.
But like Marge is literally behind him cleaning, I think, and Homer's just stretched out on the couch thinking about the yodel. Like, no care whatsoever in the world. And
completely forgets about it until Apu is actually pulling up outside, and then in a very quick manner, he's like, Marge, I need a small favor. Over the next few days, will you pretend to be Apu's wife?
What?
Please, it's just for as long as his mother's living here.
What?
And then I love Apu's line here, because it's a classic play on like the I Love Lucy show, but with a Apu twist. Honey, I am in my home.
How was your day, sweetheart?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's Homer here who's like, oh, can't you feel the love?
Mother, I would like you to meet my wife of many, many years, Marge.
Hello. So, what's bringing you to America?
I have come to see the woman who Apu is using to willingly disgrace his family and spit on his culture.
To Marge's face, to which she just sits there, and you can tell she's feeling super awkward, but she's like, well, here I am.
And then Homer is, oh, okay, gotta run. Apu, I think you better go upstairs and fix that broken toilet before Marge yells at you again.
Gone. Good play again. God damn it. Homer is like on his game today in terms of taking care of business. But I have to say, I also I remember this episode pretty well for the main plot, but I more or less had forgotten that Homer goes and lives in the retirement castle. And I feel like that's an underrated B plot. There's some really funny stuff in there. I love the rivalry he gets in with Jasper. Really funny stuff.
I love that his own father keeps calling him the wrong name. Cornelius. Yeah. We're getting ahead of ourselves, Miles.
That's true. We're totally not in order right now. Marge tries to play it off that, she's honored to be able to have her mother-in-law, wink, wink, in her own home.
Thank you. And now I have met you, I can say how deeply, deeply disappointed I am. Apu, Manjula is a sweet, refined, chaste woman. Are you nuts?
Oh, poor Marge. She goes on to explain that 1 out of 20, that's Apu every 25... Oh, yeah, it's listed as mother here, but it's actually Apu. 1 out of every 25 arranged marriages end in divorce.
Which is such a better statistic than actual real marriages with love. Oh.
Well, for what it's worth, I don't know that arranged marriages aren't real marriages. They might also end in love.
There's arranged marriages that have love in them, I bet.
Yeah. I it's actually interesting the way that the arranged marriage concept. I know very little about it, but legitimately, I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, they have a much better success rate than traditional Western. I don't know, chosen marriage, I guess.
Handpicked by not the parents' marriages?
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah. Whatever the term for that is.
Our crazy Wild West, do whatever you want things just, I guess, don't work as often.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Sometimes you end up with some crazy shit that happens in your world. But for right now, Marge has to quickly bring the kids in on the lie, because when they come in, she's like, oh, hey, kids, remember your father, Apu? Well, this is your father, Apu's mother.
Oh.
And Apu's mom is, I cannot believe you did not tell me I had 2 grandchildren.
And then Maggie comes in the room.
We cut over to Moe's, where we see that Homer is... where are we at? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to go to Moe's to, like, lay low for a while.
That's right. He's hiding out, essentially. So, but if you can't leave, we're scamming an old lady at our place, and I need a place to hang out.
I'm sorry, Homer, but I've been planning this vacation for years. I'm finally going to see Easter Island.
Easter Island? The place with the giant heads?
With the giant what now?
And that's right, Moe's actually closing down the bar for a few days.
Yeah, and I love that they actually have a sight gag for that later in the episode.
So we see that Homer goes to his backup plan, which is actually his dad's retirement castle, and he claims that he's there to spend some time with his favorite father.
Baloney! You've come here to put me in a home!
I already put you in a home.
How could you?
And then a man comes by passing out pills, and they just hand some to Abraham and then some to Homer, as they call him Cornelius Tamlage.
Excuse me. Whoa, where'd that come from?
Apparently it's a reaction to those pills. Oh, wait, I'm not hey, let's see what we've got here. And he takes a look at the pills.
The pink ones stop you from going crazy.
I thought in the line, in the episode, it said the pink ones stop you from screaming.
The pink ones stop you from going crazy. I mean,
that's what it should. No, you're not wrong. It's written that way, but I distinctly remember it saying that the pink ones stop you from screaming.
If anybody out there in podcast land wants to edit either one of those to make them the correct one, then there you have both now.
Sure. I did watch this one on Disney Plus again, for what it's worth, just because I was busy and I needed to stream it. I didn't have a DVD player where I was.
Oh no! What about the director's commentary?
I know, man. I missed the director's commentary, and I will have that again very, very soon. This week I'll have time to watch on my DVD player.
This week, Richie and Miles did the director's commentary. You see, in this scene, the writers were I have no idea what they were doing.
They were trying to make everyone laugh.
Oh!
While telling a heartfelt story.
Oh!
And it involved art. There, we just hit the trifecta. Art, heart, and smart. Boom.
Oh.
I don't think I actually put any smart in there. They educated us about arranged marriages. Boom, we're done. See you next week, folks. But Homer actually decides that this retirement castle might not be so bad, especially when they announce dinner at 4:00. He starts to run, but immediately he starts to walk, I should say, but immediately he's passed by some other person in a wheelchair, and he's like, oh wow, I've been using my legs like a sucker all these years, and they have chairs with wheels, and he has himself a seat and starts wheeling towards the chow hall.
Except Jasper has an electric one.
And he comes whizzing by him, too, and you can see, like, the anger and more resentment on Homer's face. Like, you can see at first he's just mad that he's getting passed, but then he's, like, almost dumbfounded, like, what? I don't even have to use my arms like some sucker?
It's Wall-E time.
We actually see him race for a minute, and oh my god, the Wall-E thing is too... Apparently a company just built, like, a more or less real-life version of that chair, for what it's worth. That's terrifying. It's like they didn't see the warning coming. It's a Pixar movie, man. Everybody sees them.
Nobody brought that up in the meetings.
Later that night at the Simpsons' home, we see it's Apu and Marge's first night sharing a bedroom. But Apu's being a perfect gentleman. He actually is sleeping in Bart's Krusty the Clown sleeping bag on the floor next to the bed.
I very much like that touch.
It's nice, yeah. And Apu's being very apologetic. I mean, he's like, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, and even thanks her for going through all this.
How long will she be here? Homer was a little sketchy on the details.
Oh, it should be no more than a couple of days. She really, truly hates you.
And Marge's face is like... Ugh.
So, in the morning, we see everybody sitting around the breakfast table, and Lisa has some questions. Leave it to Lisa to want to learn things. She asks about the dot on her grandmother, or fake grandmother's forehead.
What would you like to know?
I mean, what is the deal with that dot?
Can you see out of it? Does it turn color when you're ticked off?
And Apu's mom's response here is great, because Bart's kind of being a little bit of a brat, and she looks him dead in the eye and is like, you tell me.
Nothing yet.
I love that Bart's not fazed by it at all. He very clearly has the scorn of a older woman, somebody that he should respect, that, and he just doesn't care. It's completely oblivious to him. And Apu's mom is, I guess, in this situation, you would be rightfully upset to think that your own grandchildren had absolutely no knowledge of your father's side of or father's heritage, or the heritage on your father's side. And so when she's like, surely you know the background of your father's heritage.
So long, no follow-up questions, then yes, we do.
Fully, we have to go now. That's great. I love Bart's line, like, no follow-up questions, no problem. Lisa's a little bit more nervous of being in this situation. You can tell she doesn't lie nearly as often as Bart does.
Just follow his lead.
Right. It's really funny because, Lisa does lie periodically, but it does seem like often that she has kind of her brother's, counsel almost, which makes perfect sense if you think about it.
You got to go to the expert. Mm-hmm. I mean, Bart goes to the expert when he needs help with smart stuff.
So later on, we see Homer back at the retirement castle, and he's starting to make some friends. He's saying hello to everybody, and he knows everybody by name at this point. He's like, Jasper, Gladys, Beatrice. I
love that.
Looking good, Hattie. Asa, Ace, Azel. To hell with her. Esther, Emil, Prudence, Clemenol, Increase, Dad.
Cornelius.
Grandpa calls his own son Cornelius.
I mean, that was the name he was given, so...
Mm-hmm. He's just helping him stick to the grift, right?
Oh, no, I like it better that he just literally doesn't know who he is.
He's completely oblivious, but works either way. Immediately when Homer arrives, it's supper time. And
summertime!
Summertime. No, it's supper time. And Homer's like, eat my dust. And we actually see him get up and run, I believe.
Yeah, so Jasper starts catching up to him a little bit, so Homer literally just goes, screw it, and gets out of the chair and just runs to the table.
Yeah, that's it. And the orderly is like, wow, someone sure likes their kidney mush.
Sure do.
Oh. We see more bits of Homer taking advantage of all these advantages that the old foam help with. Like, for instance, did you know that they made Lay's liquid potato chips?
Oh,
and he actually has an IV set up to him, and he's like, can't suck just one. Oh,
another bag of potato chips, Mr. Talmadge.
Also, I think I'm getting a bed sore. What do you got to do to get turned around here? And we actually see this poor woman struggling to turn Homer over, and he notices then that somebody is on a respirator, and he immediately gets jealous that he's been using his own lungs once again like a sucker, and how come everyone else has a bedpan? I have to walk all the way over there.
Over there?
And she points, and it pans out to see that the bathroom is literally 2 steps from the bed. But right then, another elderly man we don't know pops in.
Hello, I am Cornelius Talmadge. My family brought me here on Monday, but I broke free and went on a bit of a bender.
But if you're Cornelius Talmadge, then who's... And we see Homer has already escaped through the window and is running away as quickly as possible.
Holding his pants because he's still in his underwear.
So we see later that night back at the Simpsons home, the arrangement is now Homer sleeping in the bed with Marge, and Apu is still sleeping in the Krusty the Clown sleeping bag off to the side of the bed. And Marge is just relieved that everything, is going to get back to normal, and Homer's like, but she is very concerned that they're going to get caught because of Apu's mother.
I like Homer, how he starts this conversation off. When I get older, Marge, I want you to promise to put me in a home. It's like being a baby, but you can appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you've been having the time of your life, because I've had my hands full with Apu's mother.
Oh, right, the fake marriage thing. How's that going?
And just then, we see Apu's mom enter, and immediately, Apu is still trying to keep this bit alive. From the Krusty the Clown sleeping bag, he's like, what? Oh, mother, oh, Marge, how could you?
Give it up, Apu.
Mother, I am sorry I lied to you about being married.
Lied to his mother. Tut.
And Homer's like trying to like shame him, even though it was his idea to begin with. But Apu finally stands up to his mother, probably arguably the way he should have to begin with. He says that he's against this ridiculous farce and he's tired of it and he does not want to go through with the arranged marriage.
Oh, I didn't realize how strongly you felt, Apu. Now wipe that smile off your face. We have a wedding to plan.
And immediately just in and out, no caring whatsoever.
But then Homer's there to help again.
You know what you could do?
Shut up!
You could fake your own death.
Oh, won't you shut up?
All you need is a car bomb.
I can't believe you don't shut up!
Man, so Apu is finally making the right choice of not listening to Homer, but that has him on track to get married to a woman that he has no intention to marry. We see Apu's mom is talking on the phone to Manjula, Apu's Manjula is the mom, Manjula is the wife. Is that right?
Manjula is the wife.
Okay, well, Manjula is also listed here, so I don't know if that's the mom.
Oh, that must be her mother, yeah.
I think that's the mom, but regardless, we can see that apparently Apu doesn't really need to do much to be involved with his wedding. His mom's just going to drag him there the day of, and everything else will be taken care of. And they get all that the mom needs now is for Manjula to jump on a plane to America.
And I like how conveniently, once again, it's just like, hey, let's just have the wedding at the Simpsons house.
Right, yeah, both for convenience and like we're just going to do that. We're not going to talk about it, even though no one here wants this to happen.
Yep.
We see Marge is actually in the background because she had to go take care of a timer, and that's when Apu's mom actually starts speaking in Indian, but you can very clearly tell that it's insulting Marge, and then the last thing she does say in English, "Believe me, I'd like to. Bye."
Oh. So awkward.
Yeah, I guess the only thing worse than a mother-in-law is a fake mother-in-law. Just kidding, but that's such a hack joke. Whatever.
All those fake mother-in-laws.
Marge is going over things with Bart, I think, at this time. Or no, just with the wedding in general.
She's still talking to Apu's mom about all the stuff that they have to get.
That's right. Yeah, Marge is being way ridiculously more accommodating than a reasonable person should be. But that's kind of a very Marge thing to do.
Mm-hmm. She accommodates Homer literally in this episode.
But I've got wine glasses, and I'm still short a tandoori oven, an elephant, and 4 castrati.
What's a castrati?
I don't know, but I'm sure it's something spicy. We've actually talked about the castrati before on this podcast. I can't remember in what context. I believe it was a record that was pulled out of the shelf in a flashback of all things, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, those are the opera singers that get their nuts chopped off so it doesn't wreck their singing voice.
I don't remember any of this whatsoever.
We talked about it with an episode that Dr. Andrew Briseño is on for sure.
I'm going to take your word for it and just go along with this bit and go, uh-huh.
I don't know where else I would have possibly talked about the spicy castrati, but...
I mean, we've had 179 episodes now, Miles.
We're going to forget some shit, man.
We're going to forget some shit. Yeah. That should be the tagline of our show.
That's actually perfect. I agree. You mentioned it earlier. I love this next scene. We cut over to Moe's Tavern. All the guys are having a beer despite the fact that Moe's not actually there at this point. No, he is. He's back.
He's back. He just has a t-shirt on.
That's it, yeah.
Have you seen Apu lately? He looks terrible.
Yeah, rumor has it that Marge threw him out.
Tough break. She's a beautiful lady.
Yeah, I got that right, Barn.
To Marge!
And they all toast to Homer's wife and Apu's fake wife.
Moe's got an Easter Island shirt on, so he's clearly been on his vacation.
He made it, man. That's awesome.
The animation of that shirt must have set them back minutes.
Minutes. Homer walks in with Apu, and he's like, Moe, what do you recommend for severe depression?
Booze, booze, and more booze.
And we cut out to the barflies all sitting around looking like shit, drinking beer. Yeah, nothing like a depressant to chase the blues away.
Yeah.
Honestly, that might be my favorite joke in this episode. It's dark, but it's pretty damn funny.
Inaccurate.
And accurate as hell. So Apu is explaining that he has not seen Manjula for 20 years, and there's no possible way two people could fall in love sight unseen.
Hang on. I'm counting on that.
And we see Mo has an order of mail order, a magazine or pamphlet of mail order brides. Only 24 hours left of bachelorism.
Actually, it's more like 12. No, 7 hours. Am I stupid? It's 7 hours. See? 7.
And he shoves his watch in Pooh's face. It just makes him even more depressed. They decide, though, that Homer's going to use those 7 hours to show Apu the best time he possibly can, and they start out with a nice jacuzzi at the old folks' home. We can see that the water is rumbling and steaming, and Homer's like, is this the life or what? They're sharing it with Jasper, however.
Want me to turn on the bubbles?
Apparently, that kidney mush goes right through you.
Apparently, Homer and Jasper are now friends.
Yeah, that too. They've solved their differences.
Yep.
We're at the airport, and we're waiting on Manjula to arrive. They're trying to figure out if it's the Bombay to Springfield at 10, 10:15, or 10:30. Seems like a lot of flights coming in from Bombay back to back to back. There is apparently a incident with some tiger trainers, because we actually see the famous magicians with the tigers. Oh my god, Siegfried and Roy.
It's Gunther and Ernst. What are you talking about?
You're so right. It's Gunther and Ernst. My apologies, but I am so sorry, sir. It appears that your tiger has been sent to St. Louis.
I'll send you to St. Louis? That's so something I would say.
No, he's not worth it. But they actually have a tiger chart at this baggage incident area, and they have to point out on the tiger chart which tiger matches theirs, which is hilarious because that's actually very common. Like if you have luggage that ever has gotten lost, which I've had happen a couple times, and it's the worst. But you actually describe it, and sometimes they have little indicators to be like, what does your baggage most closely resemble? And in this case, they pick the white tiger. Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff. At this point, the wedding seems like it's going to happen. Manjula has arrived. He can't even look at Manjula before he spends the rest of his life with her, which he thinks is just outright crazy. And he makes a declaration of only the gods could stop this wedding now. But that gives Homer yet another idea in this episode. That might be a record number of independent thoughts Homer had in one single episode.
Well, we also have Apu's mom earlier asking Bart if the fire's holy enough yet. Mm-hmm. And Bart's tearing pages out of a hymnal and throwing them in there.
Oh yeah, it's actually, apparently that scene was originally supposed to be a Bible, but they decided they didn't want to deal with that much backlash, so they went with a hymnal instead. No, they said they didn't want to be that disrespectful.
Yeah. I'm shocked that they cut back on certain things.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of surprised me that they pulled that punch a bit, to be completely honest. I think it would have been funnier with the Bible, but, I'm an asshole sometimes, so it happens.
I guess burning hymns is a little less severe.
I guess so, yeah. We see that the Simpsons kids are responsible for passing out flowers. It's like a flower necklace for the
garland.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called.
Lei.
Basically, Mo tries to pass it off, but Lisa explains that it's tradition in India. So Mo bends over and agrees to wear the flowers, and Bart kicks him square in the ass when he's bent over.
Ah! Tradition!
To which Mo kind of shrugs it off. I guess how would he know, right?
Mo. Yeah.
Marge is now talking with Reverend Lovejoy, which seems odd, but she says, "Thank you for helping us out, Reverend. I know you have never held a Hindu ceremony."
Well, Christ is Christ. Plus, I consulted a Hindu website.
And then we hear the trumpet sound as Apu enters the wedding riding an elephant.
So they did find the elephant.
I wonder if it's Stampy.
Ooh, I wonder if they'll talk about it. Hello, everyone. What a happy, happy day.
Oh, look, they are, because immediately Bart's like, wow, I wish I had an elephant, and Lisa immediately responds like, you did. His name was Stampy. You loved him. Again, and very, like, dry Lisa. Like, I think there's a more of a take, and maybe we should look for this throughout season 9. I don't know, maybe it started in 8, and I just have now started picking up on it. But there's a lot more where it seems like Lisa is even more directly talking to the audience now.
Yeah, but, like, the dryness is just opposed by the fact that Bart's just like, oh yeah, like it's so
yeah, like it's like, oh yeah, you're totally right. But like
they're
Lisa
starting
did
to
this,
play well off each other in those regards.
Didn't Lisa do something very similar in the last episode as well, where she had like
she grabbed the steering wheel, was like, I got it.
Yeah, something just really mundane, but yeah.
Homer was trying to hug Bart in the car.
I feel like there was even a thing in the living room that she did. Maybe that was this one that I'm... No, there's definitely something that she said in the living room that was like a reminder of something Homer had already done. But it doesn't matter. I want to keep looking out for those moving forward, however.
I mean, to be fair, Homer's going to be nicer to his son and meaner to his dad.
That's the oath that he made in the last episode. You're right. But it seems that when the elephant... Oh, first of all, there's a little joke here where the elephant actually sees a mouse and like aims for it to crush it.
Well, at first it screams like it's going to be afraid, but then just
stamps
squish.
Down on it, yeah.
But then Apu goes, oh, what a lucky mouse.
And
made me laugh more than I thought I should.
But then Apu actually sees Mangela for the first time in 20 years, and you can see that he's not entirely sad about it. She's a very beautiful woman.
Absolutely. An animated form.
Yeah. Yeah, she's oddly hot for a cartoon character.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that for sure. But at this point, Homer is putting his plan into effect. He puts on an elephant head, and he comes stomping through the wedding. Like
he's got extra arms, too.
He's waving all of his arms around, declaring, I am the god Ganesh. The wedding angers me. It will break up or all will die. And Apu is immediately like, oh my god.
Please listen to me.
Then
it's the random person that's attending the wedding that looks at Homer and he's like, Ganesh, he says some stuff in Hindi that would basically like, you are not Ganesh, is transcribed at the bottom. Ganesh is graceful.
Yeah, that's right. It's actually got subtitles going on for a minute. And yeah, you are not Ganesh, and he chases Homer angrily. Stop chasing Ganesh. You're not just going to, or you're just going to get more wrath.
But his arms are starting to fall off.
So
this is all my fault. To be perfectly true to you, Miles, I have not been exactly looking forward to this podcast arranged marriage.
Nor have I. Marrying a complete stranger, it's crazy.
But then they announced that Ganesh has been subdued.
Shot of him in... Oh, I thought they said they shot him in the tree. There's actually a shot of him in the tree.
Yes.
Homer, that is. And yeah, they announced resume the ceremony. Which props to Homer for climbing a tree wearing a giant oversized elephant mask.
Yeah, that was probably incredibly difficult. But I like this quick little line that Apu and Manjula get with each other real quick.
They're trying to get to know each other just even the tiniest little bit before they go through with this arranged marriage that neither of them are excited about. And Apu asks, quickly tell me, what is your favorite movie, book, and food?
The answer to all three is fried green tomatoes.
And they actually have like a little like cute, it's almost like a meet cute, like in a movie. Like it's weird circumstances, obviously. But Apu's like, do you think this marriage will work out?
I don't know. We can always get a divorce.
And, they end up getting married by Reverend Lovejoy.
Who goes, God bless America.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it's one way to appease your family while also, living your life. As we know, though, they will go on to be married for quite some time.
Not always the happiest of things either, but we'll get into that seasons down the road.
For sure. Fun little Easter egg sort of thing here is the wedding band, which is like an Indian band playing a lot of instruments I frankly just do not recognize, but recognize them from Indian culture. They actually play like a more Indian sounding version of the same song that Marge and Homer danced to at their wedding.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time Miles is near.
And the song is called Close to You by the Carpenters. We cut to Homer, who is enjoying the food at this wedding is actually pretty great because he's got a giant bag of peanuts.
Dad, those peanuts aren't for you. They're for the elephant.
They are. And the elephant actually picks Homer up with his trunk.
Put me down. Ganesh commands you.
It's still going with the Ganesh bit. So Apu invites Manjula over to see his apartment.
Well, they're talking. I think they're dancing and talking right here at the end of
at their wedding.
At the reception. Well, so far so good, don't you think? I can't wait to show you my apartment.
No. You must buy me a house, and you are getting a haircut.
Oh,
got you.
And then it pans out. You can still see the elephant going at it with Homer. Stop! Come on, elephant! Whee! But everyone is upside down.
That actually brings us to the end of the episode. The two Mrs. Nahasapeemapetilons. And that episode is a lot more narrative than some of the episodes that we have had in the past weeks, I think. It told more of a story that's going to continue to affect the Simpsons universe moving forward.
Yeah, this is one of those rare things where they introduce a new character and alter someone's life, and it's actually going to stick.
Like I said, we will be talking about Manjula seasons to come down the road.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to keep track of that. That's happened twice now in season 9. Oh wait, Tim Zarian's gone. Never mind. Once in this season so far.
Once in this season, but yeah. Does that, or Richie, do you or that book of yours have anything else that you want to talk about this episode before we move on?
This episode was a lot more fun than I remembered it being. It felt a lot shorter, like on the notes aspect, but I guess it's because there was, like you said, a little bit more of a story being told and less sight gags, even though there were still sight gags in there. But this was an enjoyable episode. I wasn't necessarily not looking forward to this one, but I forgot the retirement home bit like you did, and I just forgot a lot of stuff about this. I guess it's been a long time since I've seen it, so this is. I like the fact that we're getting into seasons now where there's less memory of certain parts of the episode because that makes it more fun to review it.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly, and I do think this is an episode that I often would probably pass over if I were watching on my DVDs or whatever. But you're totally right. It's still a really good episode, and I think that this is one of those great examples in The Simpsons where they are such talented writers that when they do tell this story is not inherently funny. Like, and when you think about Apu's situation, and Apu is very much the central character of this story, when you think about Apu's situation in this episode, there's really nothing funny about that. If you were emotionally going through what he's experiencing in this episode, that's painful, if anything. It's upsetting. I mean, it's literally altering the course of your entire life, regardless if you go through with it or you don't, because you either have to go through marrying a woman you have never met, or, and after you've been accustomed to Western culture, or you have to, anger your family, neither of which is going to be fun. But The Simpsons do such a good job of, and a lot of it, they lean on Homer in this episode. I think that's why he has so many crazy ideas to pursue. But even with Marge and the kids and just everything else going on externally to Apu's situation, they are still able to inject enough laughs into this that you're still enjoying it as a Simpsons episode as you're watching Apu go through this very emotionally traumatic situation.
They do a very good job of walking the line between heart and humor and art, as I think somebody said earlier in this episode.
Boom. I came up with that.
Oh, okay.
But that is going to do it for this week's episode, Richie. That covers the two Mrs. Nahasapeemapetilons.
You said it!
I did so well. You tell them where they can follow you.
Make sure you follow me at @thewiz_kid23. Your turn, Miles.
I'm Mr. Most Days Off. That works everywhere.
Whoa, really? And you can follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That is DIDDLY, but I know you all already knew that.
And as always, thank you so much for downloading and listening and doing all of the podcast things that you already know how to do. We really appreciate them. And we always appreciate you visiting bestdarndiddly.com and patreon.com/bestdarndiddly.com. So appreciate all of that. Make sure you come back again next week, because we definitely have an episode that I remember a lot more. I think this is one that I never skip when I watch The Simpsons through or wherever I'm pulling out my DVDs. Because next week we are going to be talking about Lisa the Skeptic.
Make sure you come back and listen, because you're probably going to forget some shit.
And until next time, what was I supposed to say here?
Don't